Hello and welcome back to Beyond This. Today we are talking about trust in mediumship. Trust is one of the most important foundations of evidential work and also one of the most misunderstood. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda. I am a professional psychic medium based here in Australia with over 20 years of experience. Today's episode is talking about just that, evidential mediumship and the trust for both the medium and the sitter. I'm also going to talk about upcoming predictions that I have seen, and as with every episode, we will end the episode with a meditation specifically for Becca Lynn, who has asked for meditation on focus. So today's meditation is just for you, Becca. It's been a very weird week where I feel sort of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and this week leading up to the 1st of April is almost like everything is bubbling up and ready to combust. The things that I've been shown during channeling some predictions feel as if they're imminent, but I will be honest, I do think that they're starting now, and we'll see some more of the outcome as we get towards the end of April. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. In Matilda's house, everything is just bubbling along nicely. I had a new window put in. For those who are on my Patreon, I missed my Patreon live today because the builders were sawing and hammering and carrying on, and I was never going to get above that noise. So I have a new window, a double glazed window, and it was harder than they thought because when you've got 100-year-old windows that have sort of almost been built into the wall, they're hard to replace. But no amount of restoration was going to repair these windows, and I desperately needed double glazing, not just for the environment, but also because I live in a very noisy area, and I needed that double glazing in there. So within the next 2 weeks, that room will be ready for me to move into. And the big work on my big bedroom will commence. So it's bit by bit, this house is being made my own. Seamus is doing well. Check up with the vet today. Says that we'll just keep him on his medication for another 2 weeks and then gradually lower it. And it seems to be making a difference. He's full of beans. And we've had some really good walks, which means his behavior is a little bit better and a bit under control. In other news, I've sort of taken a step back from watching the intricacies of the news and the media, purely because I was getting myself wound up about it. That to me is a big sign that I have to take a step back. I'm getting frustrated at people not understanding world economics, and I know that I am an economist, so I understand a lot of it. But the blame game that's going on in Australia at the moment is redonkulous. However, we do have fuel currently at the equivalent for the US. I think it came out at $11 a gallon. So, yeah, and I think we've got 30 days. They keep saying 30 days, so they must be getting it from somewhere. The good news is that Victoria has done free public transport, which is great for those that travel or have to get to work um, on the transport lines. And they have cut the excise in half. So hopefully that'll make it a little bit cheaper. As far as what's going on in the world, I'm not really paying attention. I'm going to be honest with you. I've chosen to take a step back. My favorite thing that I did catch sight of was what the Pope said yesterday in his Palm Sunday address, which was basically, the Lord doesn't hear your prayers if your hands are covered in blood. And anyone that wants to argue with me that current situation around the globe is political, and we shouldn't be taking sides can fuck off, because it is a humanitarian crisis. And the more you turn a blind eye, the more you decide that, oh, no, I don't vote. I'm a centrist. I'm not really interested in politics. Well, you're the problem. You're the problem. Because if you just have apathy around the politics in your country, then you are part of the problem and not making people accountable. And that is my TED Talk. So let's get on with today's episode. We are talking about the trust in mediumship, validation, the responsibility, and the way sometimes those messages come through. Trust is one of the most important foundations of evidential work, and also one of the most misunderstood. Trust is not blind belief. It is not ego. Trust is not insisting that everything you receive must be correct. Trust is developed through experience, through evidence, through learning how information arrives, and through understanding the responsibility involved in interpreting that information. Because mediumship is not simply receiving information, it is always about translating it. And translation requires trust. Trust in the process, trust in the signal, trust in your ability to sit in uncertainty long enough for meaning to become clear. Many people assume mediums feel completely confident all the time, but confidence is not where mediumship begins. Trust develops gradually through practice, through feedback, through recognizing patterns of how information arrives. Trust becomes stronger when evidence is recognized, and evidence becomes clearer when trust allows the medium to speak. Trust in mediumship can mean a few different things. Trust in mediumship does not mean believing every thought that comes into your mind. It means learning to recognize the difference between imagination, assumption, intuition, and communication. Trust requires neutrality. Trust requires patience. Trust requires emotional regulation. Because information from spirit can often arrive subtly. It may feel like a quiet thought, a brief image, a sudden memory that does not belong to you, a word that appears without context, a feeling that does not match your own emotional state. Mediumship rarely feels dramatic internally. It feels ordinary, but slightly different. The difference is often in the timing or the feeling quality or the neutrality of the information. If a medium dismisses everything because it feels subtle, they never gather enough evidence to build confidence. Trust allows the information to be spoken before certainty fully develops. Because certainty often comes after validation. For instance, I will receive a lot of information through my own points of reference, whether that be points of reference that I know and understand immediately, or points of reference that come through pop culture, for instance. Names to me are relatively easy because I've built up that communication where I'm going to be shown somebody with that specific name that I know. And if I don't know somebody by that name, they'll put a pop culture in front of me. It could be Harry Potter for Harry. And that's unless anybody knows a wizard. But that's how I get the information. Doubt can really interrupt the signal. Doubt is one of the most common disruptors in mediumship. Healthy questioning is important, but fear based doubt interferes with perception. Fear activates the nervous system. And when the nervous system is activated, the brain prioritizes safety, not subtle perception. The mind becomes louder than the signal. The analytical brain attempts to control the process instead of just receiving. The medium begins performing internally, trying to get everything correct before speaking, trying to interpret too quickly, trying to avoid being wrong. But evidential mediumship often provides fragments first. It can be images, words, sensations, emotions, references. Trust allows the fragments to be spoken. Meaning often becomes clearer as the evidence builds. Many mediums delay speaking because they want certainty, but certainty often develops through interaction. This is why sometimes you will see a medium and it will look like they're asking you questions. What does this mean to you? What does that mean to you? It's us trying to get the validation of what it means. And then the next thing we're given makes sense to how the sitter is going to understand it. Validation is often misunderstood in mediumship. Some people assume validation is about the medium needing reassurance, but validation is part of the communication process because mediums are not hearing conversations in the same way we hear someone speaking physically. We are often receiving references, symbols, impressions, emotional echoes, fragments of memory that are not our own. Then we must translate those references into language. Mediumship is purely translation, and translation is imperfect. And mediums may feel pressure in the chest, and they may see someone touching their heart. They may feel a sudden awareness of breath. The reference may relate to the heart, but the meaning is not immediately obvious to us. It could be a heart attack, a heart condition, a heart surgery, emotional loss, someone known for being loving, someone who always laughed when their hand was on their chest. The reference is clear, but the context belongs to the sitter. Validation helps us refine the interpretation. Without validation, the medium is translating without feedback. Imagine translating a language and no one tells you if you are understanding correctly. Validation strengthens our accuracy, and over time and over practice, that accuracy becomes better and the trust becomes bigger. For me, I have my set symbols. I have my set feelings, my set words that mean certain things, but I've been practicing this for well over 20 years. I often try and take people along the journey. Why am I being shown a man on a golf buggy laughing? Now, is that a story regarding a golf buggy that he's trying to get across that the sitter would immediately know? Was he known for driving crazily? Was he known for his golf? What part of that image that I am being shown by spirit makes sense to the person having the reading? Validation strengthens accuracy over time. It allows the medium to adjust the interpretation. It allows meaning to develop collaboratively because evidential mediumship is collaborative. Spirit provides the reference. The medium communicates the reference. The sitter recognizes the meaning. And the evidence becomes clearer. Validation helps the signal strengthen. It does not weaken the reading. It strengthens clarity. Which is why ethical mediums encourage simple yes or no responses initially. Recognition allows interpretation pathways to refine. If the sitter recognizes the reference, the medium understands how the information is being presented. More detail will often follow. If the sitter does not immediately recognize the reference, it does not automatically mean that the medium is incorrect or the information is incorrect. Meaning sometimes becomes clear later. Mediumship will often include many layers, and the layers unfold during the course of the reading. Validation supports accuracy, accuracy builds trust, trust strengthens connection, connection allows deeper evidence. This is why evidential work requires humility, because interpretation is part of that process. Names are often expected to be the strongest evidence in mediumship, but interestingly, names are not always the easiest piece of information to interpret. Names can be received in different ways, and sometimes a medium hears the exact name clearly or gets shown an image of somebody that they know that has that name. Sometimes names sound similar, and sometimes the medium will receive the first letter. Sometimes the name is symbolic, and sometimes the name connects to the middle name or a nickname. It depends on the communication process and the way that the medium has built up their connection with spirit. Sometimes a name that we receive often connects to somebody that is living. And this happens more often than not, where somebody in spirit is wanting to recognize somebody that is living to prove that connection. I had one recently, and I was giving a name time and time and time again. And it was in a group event, and they're like, no, 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 makes no sense. And I said, I have a mother figure here. They want to recognize this person. If this isn't for you, then I need to move on. It'll be for somebody else in the group. Then comes the email. Oh, they were talking about my husband. That must have been blah, blah, blah. But they wouldn't take the information. And they kept saying, no matter how many times I explain, I will get the names of those that are living because they want to recognize and acknowledge them. An important point is that relationships are often stronger than names. The role the person played in the sitter's life, their personality, shared memories, these are often easier to recognize clearly. Names are still valuable evidence, but they are part of a reference process. For example, a medium may receive the sound John, but the sitter recognizes Jonathan or Jack or Sean, or a surname like Johnson, or a middle name, rarely used. A father whose name was used for a middle name of a child, or someone known as Johnny. The reference exists. Translation requires interpretation, which is why evidence builds across multiple pieces of information, not one single detail. Evidence is cumulative, and trust strengthens as multiple references connect. Trust is often confused with ego, but they are very, very different. Ego insists on being right. Trust allows space for interpretation. Trust allows correction. And there is always human translation in our readings, our translation in those readings. Trust allows collaboration, and ethical mediums acknowledge interpretation is part of the process. They do not present themselves as infallible because the moment ego dominates, pressure increases, and pressure interferes with our perception. Trust feels calm, steady, neutral, not performative, not forced. Trust allows the medium to remain open. Evidence strengthens trust. Specific evidence, recognizable evidence, evidence that is unlikely to be guessed, evidence that reflects personality and relationship and lived experience. Evidence builds confidence for both medium and sitter. It allows the medium to recognize this is how information arrives for me. Some mediums see images, some hear words, some see or feel emotions, some experience physical sensations, and some receive combinations. Trust develops when a medium learns their own signal language. Patterns begin to form. Confidence becomes quieter, more grounded, less dramatic, more reliable. Trust grows when responsibility is prioritized. Responsible mediums avoid extreme claims. They avoid creating dependency. They acknowledge uncertainty when it exists, saying, I may interpret this incorrectly. That does not weaken credibility, it strengthens ethical integrity. Mediumship is not about removing personal agency. It is about offering evidence of the continuation of consciousness, that love is eternal. Trust exists within boundaries. Healthy expectations strengthen the work. And there are some practical ways to strengthen your trust. If you are an up and coming medium who is working on your receiving or delivering of information, practice regularly. Take notes after every reading and notice patterns in how information arrives. Strengthen your concentration skills and develop emotional regulation. That one is incredibly important. At no time should a medium that is practiced, that is ethical, be losing their shit over information they received. They should always stay neutral. Their emotions should never come into a reading. And if they become full of emotion, then what good are they to the sitter? Avoid rushing the interpretation and allow feedback without defensiveness. Accept uncertainty as part of your development. Trust develops through repetition. Consistency builds reliability, and reliability builds confidence. Confidence builds clarity. Trust in mediumship develops through experience, through evidence, through patience, through humility. Trust allows information to be communicated. Validation refines interpretation. Interpretation strengthens trust. Mediumship is not about performance or entertainment. It is about responsibility. Trust is not certainty. Trust is willingness to listen and willingness to learn. And if you are an up and coming medium, then trust yourself, but practice, practice, practice. What's going on in Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is our sponsor for, well, my Patreon members, anyway, is the sponsor for Beyond This. So thank you to every Patreon member. We have had a number of signups this week. I'm going to run through what we've got going on in April this month that's happening in the Patreon. So the day this podcast comes out, you will know that my July readings have been released with the discounts for Patreon members, $15 and up. That's available at Patreon, where you can sign up to Patreon, $15 and up, and you will be You go to the collections tab where all your discounts are. We have a live chat on Patreon on the 2nd, which is Thursday, my time, which is the 1st in the US. I must remember that you're always a day behind me. Coffee morning is on the 11th at 11 a.m. Australian time, the 10th in the US. We may have a minute's silence. No, that's not the 11th of the 11th. Oh my goodness, Matilda, what are you on about? We have the Magnificent Manifestors. That is on the 19th US time, 20th in Australia. This month's Magnificent Manifestors, we are talking about a 28-day reality shift, becoming the version of you that receives manifestation. It's not about wishing harder, begging the universe, or constantly looking for signs. We have a 28-day daily prompt exercise that starts on the 1st in Patreon and also in our WhatsApp chat group. On the 24th, which is the 23rd in the US, I have a 2-hour workshop that is the alignment code. It is all about empowerment, self-belief, self-concept, and how they all tie into manifesting and living the life that you are aligned to live, that you will align yourself to live. That is available for booking. I will include that in my show notes, but the discount, the early bird discount runs out on the 3rd. So get in quick if you want to be in that. That is a 2-hour workshop. I think it's 147 for the 2-hour workshop and workbook. But if you book by the 3rd, you get it for 97. And if you cannot attend because of timing, it will be emailed out to you. We have the Open Connected Circle on the 27th. 26th, we have an evening with Matilda, which is a large evidential mediumship group. You want to see me work? You want the opportunity for a reading? There's your chance. $60 Australian, which is about $35 US. We have the Patreon-only podcast on the 30th and the newsletter on the 30th too. All of that stuff in Patreon, depending on your tier that you join. I'm going to do my shout-outs and thank yous to all my new Patreon members. Dale, Stacey Franca, Michelle Reedner, Catherine Begley, Gigi. Thank you for joining. Jasmine, Clara Rose. Oh, what a beautiful name. Kristen, Harvey, Jazz, Emily, and Erin. Thank you, guys. You guys are amazing. And you sponsor this podcast. So thank you. I am going to talk to you very quickly about what I see coming in and some of the predictions that I've made in the past that have started to happen. First up, one thing that did surprise me, that the far right in Germany are talking about asking the US troops to leave Germany. I predicted that, I think it was a year ago, that I saw that the US troops were going to be asked to leave certain countries. And I think that that is going to play out. Desi Freeman was found and shot by police earlier this week. I did say that I thought he was either dead or would be dead very shortly. If you don't know who he is, he was responsible for killing 2 police officers in Victoria 6 months ago, 7 months ago, one of them being actually a friend of mine's brother. So that's all been happening. Coming up, I think we're going to see a real mix of things. We're going to see J.D. Vance have to step up to attend something because Trump can't. We're going to see Hegseth come under scrutiny in front of a committee, or somebody in the military is actually going to speak out against him. More stuff coming out about Epstein. We are going to see a problem with a submarine where either a submarine becomes disconnected from outside, like a comms problem, or they can't then there's a problem with the submarine's mechanics, electrics. I do want to put Jess communication in that. We're going to see I think it's going to be quite a record-breaking earthquake in Middle East, Philippines area. That feels like I think it might be an 8.5 around that area. Somebody makes a threat against the Pope, and I made this prediction about 6 or 8 months ago. I'll have to find it, but I feel like this is coming up now. I said that King Charles will abdicate the throne before he gets too sick. I feel like that is, what are we in? The end of March. I feel like April, May, we may hear that he abdicates rather than waits until he passes. He could make like what is it? Proxy king or I know there's a special a regent. There could be a regent appointed. And I do feel like Harry and Meghan, it's going to be like cancel. They're going to rush to the UK or they're going to have to cancel an event. It's not necessarily the one that's coming up in Australia. Has that happened? I don't know. Or is it about to happen? But I do think that they're going to have to cancel some form of event that they are supposed to speak at in order to answer questions, go back to the UK, put things in place. That's what I feel. We're going to see an accident happen. It's a politician that falls. And then there's going to be, was he pushed? Did he fall? I'm not going to say it's Trump, but it's like they cover up a medical incident through a trip or something wrong with their shoe or there's something wrong with the platform, or they're going to try and blame someone else. Going to hear news about a Hollywood actor or actress, 50s or below. So not somebody that we expect to pass, but somebody of significance in Hollywood, maybe an award winner, well-known, known for something in particular, will pass unexpectedly, and they're not likely to do so because of age. And there's going to be a major hacking event that's going to include a game, an online game of some sort. In good news, communities are coming together, and we are going to see more of that. We're going to see a fundraiser to post bail or pay fines for people, and people of note will donate. I think we're going to see something news regarding a football player that isn't expected. It's off season there at the moment, isn't it? So it feels like news to do with a football player, an announcement that isn't expected. And I think it's quite a well-known one too. And a well-known jewelry designer or brand goes bankrupt, goes bust, has to close the doors. All right. Get comfortable. We're going to do a guided meditation. Take a comfortable position. Allow your body to settle and allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your jaw to relax and close your eyes. Bring awareness to your breath. Notice the air moving in and out. There is nothing to change. There is nothing to force. Simply observing Allow your breath to slow naturally. Allow your mind to soften. If thoughts arise, notice them and allow them to pass. Bring awareness to the space between your eyebrows, the center of your focus. Not tension, just awareness. Imagine your attention resting gently in that space. If your mind wanders, gently return. Each return strengthens concentration. Each moment of awareness strengthens clarity. Imagine your thoughts become quieter, like lowering background noise. Not silence, just stillness. Imagine your awareness becoming steady, calm, observant, present, like still water. When water is still, reflection becomes clearer. Allow that stillness to deepen. No effort, just presence. If thoughts appear, acknowledge and release, returning to focus. Each breath strengthens awareness. Each moment strengthens clarity. Remain here briefly, quietly, steady, present. And when ready, bring awareness back to your body. Notice the room around you. Take one deep breath and gently open your eyes. I hope that helps with focus. If today's episode has resonated with you, please share. Please leave a review if you are on Apple. Please follow my podcast so you get alerts for future podcast episodes. Every time you leave a review or rate the podcast, whatever platform you're on, you make it possible for more people to receive my work and learn through my work. And I really appreciate you doing that for me. For those of you that are celebrating, have a wonderful Easter. I have 4 days off that I'm going to enjoy. Although I'll be working, but I won't be working because I never stop working. And tomorrow I'm actually doing my first one-on-one readings in over a month because I've had a little bit of time off. Don't forget that go to the show notes. It will have a link to all the events that I have coming up. Laurie Rivers and I are about to announce our next coffee and channeling event that will be held in May. If you are in Sydney, I have one-on-one readings available in Sydney during the middle of May. I think there's 3 or 4 left. I'm not entirely sure. You have to pay a deposit to hold the spot. I have my live Evidential Mediumship event on the 26th. I've just booked another one for the 11th of May. But check out my website, check out the show notes, and you'll be able to find all the information you need. Thank you for joining me today. This has been Beyond This. Take care.